DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is bringing you, yes, an offer that'll help you win money in the NFL playoffs. New customers bet $5. That's it. $5. That's it. $5. Any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Are you kidding me? I bet 5. That's it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. It takes 90 seconds and put in Colin, C-O-L-I-N. Easy peasy. New customers, $5. That's all you have to bet. And get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The code is Colin, C-O-L-I-N. And the crown is yours.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Draymond Green Show. As you know, I'm not really one to keep looking down when I'm doing anything, when I'm speaking, definitely when I'm doing an intro. But this intro will take quite a while because it is quite the resume, and I'm not going to butcher it. I'm going to give it all the respect that it's due. So I am going to look down and read you this intro, or better yet, this list of accolades, bio, if you will. 12-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first team, 5-time All-NBA second team, 2 times All-NBA third teams. For those of you that may be like me, that is an 11-time All-NBA player. 7-time All-NBA first team defense, 2-time second team All-NBA All-Defensive team. For those of you that's a little like me, that's 9 All-Defense teams. 5-time assist leader in the NBA, 6-time steals leader in the NBA, Rookie of the Year, 3rd all-time in assists, and 3rd all-time in steals. I am joined today by none other than the point guard himself, Chris Paul. CP, what's up, my brother?
What up, Dray, man? Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you on the show. I must say, in looking at list of guests over the course of the 3 years of this show, if we went back to the start of this show, to the inception, even if we went back a year ago, I'm not sure that I could have forecasted
Hell no.
a guest on this show being Chris Paul.
No chance.
And yet, here we are, man. I am ecstatic. Like I said, I just want to say, number one, thank you,
Man.
for coming on this show.
Anytime, for real, man. Crazy how life works.
Absolutely. I mean, I could have never imagined that this was going to get here, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that because that will, I think, get good. But in saying that, I want to go back to the beginning, man. Take me back to Winston-Salem, growing up as a kid, and you look at who you became in the NBA in your path. I know going back, you always heard he's too small, he's this, he's that. Take me back to Winston-Salem growing up and just how it all started on the way here.
Yeah, man, I grew up in Winston, and I played football and basketball, but I just always had to grind. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I had my older brother, CJ. I grew up as a little brother, always running in behind him and his friends. And I don't know. I had these goals or whatnot. My parents, I always had to work, whatever it was, that was like a job or whatnot. But when it came to sports, I just always been extremely competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, if it's practice, if it's games, whatever it is. And so my hometown shaped me and is the reason why I am the way I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You in these interviews, I always come in with like this template.
Yeah.
And then I hear you say something and I'm like, but I need to know more about that. And this is so interesting to me. I don't want to lose it, so I'm going to ask it right now. You speak about being overly competitive in a sense, like just super competitive. And I call it overly competitive because the reality is, what is overly competitive? Like, you're willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
Like, that's overly competitive. Most people aren't like that.
Right.
And I'd like to think that I am a bit like that as well. I've watched you, I've played against you for years throughout my career, for the last 11 of your career. And that competitive spirit it's always been there. I've always seen it. We bumped heads. We done had our run-ins. We've had all of that. And the reality is it's two overly competitive dudes clashing.
No question.
As you have continued to age in this league, become more seasoned, year 19, you're still super competitive, but you channel it in a totally different way. Like even the stuff that I would see you get into through the years, whether it was me or anyone else, I love watching basketball. We always talk about guys not watching no more.
Yep.
Like I always watch. And the things that you would get into with guys, you don't get into none of that stuff no more. Yet you're probably as competitive as you've ever been. Like, help me through that, because that's also something that I'm trying to figure out.
It's crazy, man, and you know it. I still get into some shit, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. The teams that I've been on, I've changed teams a number of times now, and that's something that's different. Every time you go to a new team, you basically have to start over.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciated coaches who sort of challenged me. And you're not always going to be a saint. You're not always going to be right, because you got to be who you are.
Absolutely.
And I remember Monty Williams, he would tell me in book all the time, like, all right, now with the text. And then he told me, he was like, we had a thing when I played in Phoenix that there was no fourth quarter text. Right? You couldn't get a tech in the fourth quarter. That was like one of our team rules. But you still got to be who you are. And I've found over my career, it's different guys that, Jay Crowder, I got into it with him a little bit when we played in the bubble. Wasn't nothing crazy, but when I got an opportunity for him to be my teammate, I loved it. It's been a number of guys like that who, you sometimes you challenge guys, you be like, yo, what's up with it? And the guy who tucked their tail, when the front office come tell you, we can get this guy, what you gonna say? You gonna, hell
I
nah.
don't want that guy.
Hell nah.
I used to tell Bob Myers, and I want you to finish that, but I used to always tell Bob would come ask me, like, what you think of this guy? And I would simply say, Bob, I like when he come on the court for the other team.
Right.
I don't want to play.
Yeah. And see, I tell you, JJ Redick was like that. So in college, me and JJ couldn't stand each other. We got in a fight, got into it, and I never forget, I was standing in my closet in LA when Doc Rivers hit me and told me we had a chance to get JJ Redick. And when I say I ain't like JJ, I could not stand JJ. And as soon as Doc said it, I said, let's get him. Because I know guys that are competitors, we got a lot alike.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We're alike in a lot of ways. And that's why, I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point, but when the trade happened for me to come to the Warriors and knowing our history, I knew, that would be a conversation, but I knew basketball-wise, he on the same type of energy I'm on. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, I'm a believer in that. Some people will say my competitiveness is the best thing about me and the worst thing about me, but at the end of the day is who I am. Right. And you just, at times you have to figure out ways to channel it. And that's why it's been dope with you, because we talk about it. And it's one of those things where you need somebody who you respect on that competitive level to talk to you and challenge you with it.
100%.
And so I've had a number of great teammates over my career who, at times when I get a little crazy, they be like, all right, yo, chill.
Absolutely.
Chill, so.
I think that's been a very interesting thing for me, especially navigating this season. I've told several people this actually, is one of the things that you've helped me with a ton is how I speak. I'll come in the huddle and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why are we switching this? Like, this don't make sense. We should have been stopped switching this. I've been said, let's stop. And you like, yo, hold on. Like, what are you saying? What do you see? What are you saying? I'm like, all right, well, they keep hitting us with this same play. We keep switching it. I don't understand why we're switching it. It's putting us at a disadvantage here. Then they're getting to this thing. And you're like, all right, so what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
I think we should guard it like this. I think we'll take it away. All right, y'all hear that. That's what we doing. We going to this. And I remember the first few times you did it. when you finished, I sat there and I felt stupid because I'm like, I just came in here yelling, screaming, like blurting out what I think should happen. And he just totally calmed me down and got the point across just like that.
But you know why though, Dre? And it's so crazy, man, is because I've almost needed a me too, right? So gang of my teammates will probably hear this and be like, what? Chris was doing what? Because I've usually always been the guy who's yelling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And still now, I'll do that. But I think over the years, what I've tried to do is, you know, everybody always remembers. It's just like if you tell somebody how good they are 1,000 times, if you tell them they bad one time, they don't remember that.
Fact.
Right? So people may have whatever perception of me or whatnot, but for my whole career, I'm the guy who I text my teammates at night after a game, good job, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like always encouraging them, but people are always gonna remember how you were sort of hard on them. But that is what it is. But like David West, back when I played in New Orleans, I never forget, he came to me one of my practices and he was like, hey, Peasy, you gotta chill. You gotta chill, you gotta watch how you talking, Peasy. That's what he said to me. And I remember, and I was like, yeah, D, but I just want to win. You know, listen to what I'm saying, not how I'm saying it. And I still have times where I'm on 10, you know, and sometimes it's necessary. But that's why I can appreciate somebody like you, because I hear what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I ain't tripping at how you saying it. You know what I mean? But being in the huddle with you, it's like, I need somebody else to care like this nigga care. You know what I'm saying? Which they do, you know what I mean? But it's a passion. And I think that's why, like I said, I've loved being your teammate.
I appreciate it. No, I think, man, it's been incredible. And like I said, you come into these shows with this template, but then sometimes these conversations just go. And man, I've also told several people this, and I would have never in a million years imagined it happening. If I have not sat down and done the exercise. So I will one day do that. I just haven't. But if I put up a list of teammates, and like I went down this list, and it's been 12 years now for me, and I went through this list of teammates. And like, all right, I start putting my list in order of my top teammates. I haven't done the exercise, but what I'm certain of is that you're top 5 and like my list of top teammates. And it's been such an incredible, oddly enough, I've had the tumultuous year that I've had as far as things have been going just this season and riding that ship. But the time that I have been with the team and my practices, you know, our practices and time spent together in games and all of those things, I'm like, yo, he represents everything that I could want in a teammate. Shit going wrong, first person to check on you. Stuff went right, first person to congratulate you. Yo, what you doing for dinner? What you doing with this thing? What you doing with that thing? Yo, what do you see on the floor? I'm seeing this, you seeing that thing. Across the board. And I'm like, wow, that's what I try to be for teammates. You know, like I try to be all of those things for teammates. A guy got an MRI. Yo, how was your MRI? Everything good with you? The moment you find out, you know, sometimes you don't find out those things right away. You look online like, oh, you know, like, you had an MRI. And so, like, just all of those things and like checking all of those boxes. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just want you to know that.
Nah, you know what it is, Dre? It's crazy. And like, as long as we done competed against each other, right? Like, I told you, like, when this trade happened, you was a free agent or whatnot. And I'll never forget when they called me and said it was a possibility. And people wouldn't even notice except for my family. I told them, I said, well, I don't want to come if Draymond ain't signing back, right? And that's why me and you always talk about it, like, the social media world and all that, they don't never really know what's really happening. And so I didn't want to come to the Warriors without you being here.
Absolutely.
And so as much as we didn't fought and got into it and all that, I saw the way that you protected Steph, Clay, all them guys over this time, man. And it was like, damn, if we can figure it out, you know, and we can play and be on the same team, it's gonna be hell for the other teams, you know. And
Absolutely.
so that's what I've appreciated, man. And regardless of how the season been so far, that's where the ups, the downs, the wins and losses, they come. But that's why we keep saying in our locker room, we gonna be fine.
Absolutely.
We gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, like, you know, you go through these things and you're trying to sort through the things, trying to figure it all out. And I think for me, the thing that I can always turn back to is like, but I got some guys that I want to make this right for. You know, like, regardless of what you may go through mentally, you know, for me mentally going through, like, yo, I'm probably done. Like, I don't even know if I can really handle all of these things no more, you know? Like, is this really what I want to be doing anymore? And going through and processing all of those emotions and feeling those feelings, I think for the, you know, like, this is the, you know, and going through all the things that I've went through in my career, the ups, the downs, I feel like this is one of the first times I really just took a step back and allowed myself to feel it. You know, like,
and it's necessary. Mm-hmm. And it's been dope to like be on that journey with you and the guys and all this stuff, man. But it's crazy for me to see because, you know, all the guys that are retired, the guys who came before us, it's a lot to bear. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot thrown at us, not just to be the best athlete, but life. You know what I mean? And so to try to hold it all together for everybody is what we all try to do. Yeah. And that's why it's been dope to be able to lean on each other. You know 100%. What I'm saying? You going through what you going through, a lot of other people, but you still trying to be there for other guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so when you get on the other side of it, man, like we always talk about, you know, we smile, we laugh, and everything gonna be cool.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think for me, it's looking at you. It's looking at Steph. It's looking at, you know, young guys, mm-hmm. Clay, and it's like, no, but I wanna do it right. Get right and do it right for them. Like, I think that's probably always my mindset, you know? Like, I'm the kid that, you know, my mom would curse me out because I give everybody, like, I'll give somebody my last dollar.
Right.
Right? Like, why did you give him your last? I'm like, Ma, he needed the dollar. I ain't need the dollar. She's like, no, but you don't give him your last dollar. And I'm like, Ma, I'll go find another dollar. He needed that dollar.
And I mean, now that I'm your teammate and I can see it and played alongside you and I see your life, you do so much for everybody. And that's what was crazy is even me trying to find my way here with this team, you done got on me a few times, yelled on me at the right times where you like, see, don't lose yourself, you know, but it's so crazy because I would play against you guys and then you be coming with the basketball and I'd be like, oh, he ain't doing it. It's just so easy to make sure you find them and forget to look for yourself. And that's what's been cool for me when we start games out, knowing how we worked out and stuff this summer or whatnot, where you catch that ball, you ain't even thinking, I love it though. You ain't even thinking about trying to hit somebody on a cut or something like that. And to see the joy of our team when you do that, right? It's so crazy. Like you think people go crazy for Steph and Clay threes. When you shoot it, everybody go nuts. But I think everybody does that. And you probably don't even realize it's because of how selfless you've been in finding them for so long so that when guys see you doing it and they done seen you put the work in, it make our team go crazy.
100%, man. That's been, like you said, and me saying that to you, like I know the feeling, you know? And, bro, it's hard, man. You play basketball all these years, like you see things a certain way. And then all of a sudden you catch it and you open for a shot and the motherfucker in the paint, like, man, go ahead. Now you sitting there like, but damn, am I really supposed to be shooting this ball now? Because he's just standing way back there looking at me.
It's wild. It's wild. It's just like Denver like put Jokic on me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking like, what the hell going on? Like, so it's different. It's different, but that's all the different stages of your career, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what it also, I think, is a nod to Steph. Because these teams, they try some of the darndest things.
Yeah.
And like putting Jokic on you, like in theory, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think for us, and I think it's something that at some point we'll figure it out when it's time to figure it out. But it's almost like a boxing one. Like a team throw a boxing one at you and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't even know what to do against this. I haven't seen much of this. It just kind of throw off your rhythm a little
weird.
bit.
Yeah, it's weird. I told Steve that. I said, we got to practice that or something a little bit because, I ain't never seen this. Like, if he guard me, with all due respect, give me the ball and just get out the way.
Out the way.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think I was having a conversation with Coach Izzo the other day. And he was saying to me, he was talking about guys in the league that are really big-time scorers and how hard it is for them to also focus on getting other guys involved. And he was asking me, he was like, Draymond, it just seems so hard, like just to see guys do that and like help me understand like who the guys are can do that. And I'm just like, Coach, if you want my honest opinion, who can do that at like in a level like no one else in this league, and it actually impacts winning, and everyone can rally around it. I said there's two guys that currently do it. One guy who does it all the time, one guy who still does it sometimes. I said, but there was one guy in particular who doesn't fit the mold, and so now I'll walk you through it. I said there are two guys. They're both 6'8". They're point guards. They're once in a lifetime. Luka and LeBron.
Yeah.
I said, and it's those two now who you can also put in there, and we've seen them do it, and it looked like it was going the other way in his back. Though James Harden.
Yeah.
Who also do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was talking specifically, I'm talking about Luka and LeBron. I said, Coach, that's one of the reasons you've never seen smaller point guards win a championship and like lead teams a championship, with the exception of a couple guys, Steph and Isaiah. I said, but I'm going to give you one guy, Coach, that did it at the highest of highs. And here's the question I want to ask you with that. I said, Chris Paul was one that scored it, got everybody in position, got assists, ran the team, did the leading. He was the one guy to do it. And at his stature, you have to wonder, is that too much? And looking back on your career, you suffered injuries in some of the darndest times.
Yeah.
Times where you're on your way to an NBA championship. Do you think, in looking back over your career, the load that you had to carry and getting everybody involved, the leadership, all the things, do you think that sometimes overbogged you down in the long run?
Man, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't. You know what I mean? I think just it was some crazy injuries or whatnot, and I don't think that the load was too high as far as, that was just how we played.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that was always different and actually played a role in why I ended up leaving the Clippers was, the ball was in my hands a lot, but all them years I was, making plays and all this stuff, and I defended.
At a fucking high level.
You know what I mean? And so that was, but at that age, I didn't even think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I always talk about when I came into the league, it was just different. It was, who we playing tonight? Okay, I got Steve Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got Steph. All right, then I got Russ. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I got Gilbert Arenas, AI, whoever
Dan
it is.
Williams.
D. Will,
Yep.
yeah. And it's just, I didn't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that was also a way of competing, right? Like, I think a lot of times, especially young kids now, just think competing is how many points and assists I drop on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But for me, it was also the defensive aspect to it. So, yeah, it was tough or whatnot. And I know they always say a small guy can't lead got to a championship team to a championship, and that's also what almost made me mad about, losing at them times, because I ain't never been one that go with what everybody say.
Yeah.
But it's definitely tough, and the game has changed a lot. But that's, Luka and Bron and them, they special, because even though they have those big number games, they play the game the right way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They hit a guy when they open, and that's big.
Absolutely. Speaking of playing defense, told Trav one day, I said, man, I remember the first time we put Clay on CP. And I remember him walking past the bench and saying, God damn, y'all gonna put somebody 6'7" on me now? That's what we doing now? I remember the first time you walked to the bench and said that. But the NBA started changing with that. Everybody started doing that. All of a sudden, you looking up now, you got 6'7" guy on you, got a 6'9" guy on you. Look at like Jaden, Jay, I get their names confused. I think it's Jaden McDaniels in Minnesota.
The one in Minnesota, yeah.
Dude, legit 6'9", chasing point guards around.
No question. Every time.
And he keep up, he got lane. The league started changing with that. What type of adjustment did you feel you had to make? Because you still start getting your midi, you're still getting your same things, you're still getting right whenever you wanted to get right. But what challenges did that present when the league started doing that?
It really wasn't that big of a change for me, because I done played out of the ball screen my whole career. And what those guys had in height, I had over them in quickness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think some of the guys that, and it's crazy to play this long, because it's guys that I appreciated, guarding me, right? Like Tony Allen.
Yes.
I remember when Tony Allen retired, or we played them in a playoff series or something, I texted TA, after the game or something, just I appreciate the competition.
Absolutely.
And so it's crazy, man. I used to be on that type time all the time, where it was, I'm about to play against another primetime guard, and I walk out onto the court and the other team put a wing on me or something like that. I used to say that. I used to say it to the coach. I used to be like, oh, that's what y'all on? Y'all got a point guard coming into the league and you don't want to throw him to the fire, huh? I was just on that type of energy, and is what it is, but I just felt like people was ducking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know, like you said, the league was changing because they trying to figure out, ways to slow you down or whatnot. But regardless, my coaches would tell you at that time, if you wrote up on the board or something like that, that Matt Barnes was going to guard such and such, I would stop the meeting. No, coach. Nope. I got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just how I was brought up in the league. Now, though, JK, one of y'all can run around. JK, you got him. Wiggs, you got him. You go and run around with him, whatever. But back then, it was just, them coaches know they was trifling too. You supposed to. They're a rook. Throw them out here. Teach them how to play defense. That's where the league was different back in the day. Dude, hand you 35, 40 or whatnot. Who cares? You'll be better the next time.
That was them welcome to the NBA moments everybody always talk about. They was different then.
Yeah.
You look at guys' welcome to the NBA moment now, and you like, man, what? Our welcome to the NBA moment was yo, bro gave me 50. I remember KD giving me 51. I remember that.
Yeah, but that just breeds some competitiveness in you, some type of competition in you. You know what I mean? But
no, that's fact. And then speaking of defense, I have to ask this. So again, I'm going to repeat: 9-time all defense, 7 first team, which I must say I'm pissed off because I'm on his tail now. I'm at 8, although I ain't got as many first teams. I'm at 8.
Hey,
and I'm gonna miss this year. I just can't make it with the number of games this year.
What was so funny is he was hurt. You missed the first 2 games.
Yep.
Right. And I remember he came in the locker room and was like, all right now, I'm on y'all ass. I'm on y'all. I gave y'all a couple game head start. I gave y'all a couple head start. You know what I'm saying? But you already know what it is.
No, for sure. And I have a specific question. So I'm going to repeat again. 9-time all defense, 7 first team. That's impressive, man. when Patrick Beverley said Chris Paul is a chair, 9-time all defensive team, 7 first team. When he went on ESPN and said, we all know Chris Paul a chair, what was your first thought? We've all had a frustrating experience buying tickets, even me. You all know I love to go to concerts, shows, and it can be hard to find last-minute tickets. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater shows near you. I'm looking through the Game Time app right now, and it's really easy to find tickets at different price points. I know it isn't cheap to see the Dubs play anymore, but we got some fun matchups coming up versus the Lakers, the Mavericks, and more. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. They have all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much you're going to pay. Plus, the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code word GREEN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and use the code word GREEN, GREEN, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And B, did you think about saying something about it? Did you not see it? I know you don't look at a lot of stuff, but sometimes this stuff just make it to you because they go in group chats,
all
the other things.
It made it to me.
Like, walk me through that time.
I'm first and foremost, I was, a pair of lips to say anything. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. And I get it. I done had many a times in my career where somebody done said this or said that, you know what I mean? And I know people looking for sound bites and all this, but the work speaks for itself.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? So you hell, boy. You hell, because you know me saying that.
I just want to know,
I mean, I still compete on defense, you know what I'm saying, every night as best. I'm probably not the defender I was some years ago, you know what I mean? But yeah,
9 times.
It's sound bites.
Nah, man, I just wanted to know. I never really hear you speak on anything. And when I saw that initially, so my first thought when I saw that, I'll give you the way my mind was working, because at that time, I'm still like doing the podcast and TV stuff, and I really love it.
Yeah.
And so when I watch these things, I'm also watching as a student, you know what I'm saying, to better myself.
Yeah.
And I be very critical of people. I think Pat is really good. When he did that, I was like, whoa. I was like, damn. Like, it's so hot. And I'm like, if you actually really listen to Pat talk, he say some good shit. But I was like, because when I saw that, I'm like don't become the hot take guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to come in so I feel like that was like one of the first days he came on ESPN, and I was like, whoa, like you won't. Like, don't become the hot take guy, because I think Pat is really good. And when I saw that, it's just like,
Yeah, everybody has their opinion. And in the world that we in now, is people going to say something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At all times. And I'm human just like anybody. And I think that's the thing that I've always tried to do is, no matter how I feel or anything like that, even though, man, you talk about it a lot of times. I know the real with a lot of situations and how it go down is that you got to give it that 24 hours or that 48 hours or whatnot. That's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to do. And, when you let something go or whatnot, like I'm not a guy who, when something happened, I run to my phone, you know what I'm saying? And post this or post that or whatnot. You just, you stand on the work.
100%. I still remember a conversation I had with you way back in the day. We was on the phone. He's like, man, I ain't going to celebrate when I score. I put the work in. I know how good I am.
Yeah.
I don't need to celebrate. That ain't what I need to do.
That's crazy. I remember I said that because I've always said I ain't like a guy that talk junk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you see now, like I ain't really on that unless you on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I always said I never say nothing first.
Yeah.
You know, but in competition, I'm here because if somebody say something, I ain't gonna know when to stop.
Yeah.
And we gonna go wherever it got to go. That's how I used to be with me and you.
Yeah,
That's how I used to
absolutely.
be. But it's crazy, man. It's that competition. And when I'm playing in the game, like when I score, I go from offense to defense so fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you even see it with the team.
Yeah.
Like guys got celebrated. Man, we got to get back.
Yeah.
They coming to try to score on us. You know what I mean? So I think, you know what I mean, in that Pat Bev situation, that's what was probably crazy in that situation in that game is after I hit that shot and the timeout happened and I was walking to the bench, everybody, of course, after the game was like, man, what you say to him? Man, what did you say to him?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I ain't say nothing. And I think that's probably the part that's the worst. You know what I mean? Is that somebody would probably rather you say something to them. But I remember going into that game, I was just like, man, I ain't on none of that. You know what I mean? It's just, let's win the game.
Yeah.
Win the game.
Yeah. This ain't got nothing to do with me and him.
Yeah, let's win the game.
Nah, for sure. I definitely thought thought you said something.
I ain't say nothing. Nothing.
One of the things that I want to better myself at, you know, I publicly said, like, you know, you look at some things, you like, I don't like that about myself. And so for me, I think you mentioned earlier, you was like, your competitiveness is like essentially your gift and your curse.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for me too. But when I look at things and I say, what can I change, or what would if I could improve one thing about myself or something that I don't necessarily love about myself, it's actually one thing that I don't necessarily love it about myself, but I wouldn't trade it because it actually makes me who I am. But it gets rough sometimes.
Right.
And so I say this to you because you just really said, like, I'm not going to run and say nothing. One thing that I dislike about myself, it's kind of a love-hate thing, is I have to say something. Like, and that's something that I'm actually working on, but like, I got to say it. Like, I need to say it. Like, I need to get it out. At times I struggle where I'd hold things in because I need to say it so bad and I just hold it in and bite my tongue and then it come out the absolute wrong way. Like, you know, you look at some of the situations I've had, some of them, KD's situation, for instance, like, I had actually been trying to work through that thing with people, like trying to work through it. And I'm just biting my tongue. You like hold this thing and you hold that thing and you bite your tongue. But I have to get things out. And then it's just like, bah! And it come out. And I'm like, fuck. Like that wasn't supposed to come out that way.
Right.
But I have to say things. I don't love that about myself. What is something about you that you don't love about you?
Probably the same thing you just said. You know what I mean? Now I'm going to say it. Now, I'm probably not going to say it just like right then and there, but I'm very, like, you know, like if it's some type of issue or anything like that with a person or with a team or whatnot, I'm going to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's not always the best thing, but it's what I have to do to feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's something. Like, it's crazy, man. I really try to be cool off the officials.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for real. And like sometimes I watch games back and I be like, oh, I could chill there. But it's crazy when you know the game in a certain way and all this stuff. That's one thing. But yeah, it's like over communicating. And I know some people say, dang, that's too much. You're talking too much. But it just take all the guesswork out.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's what I battle with is I try to pick my spots when I'm gonna say something and when I'm not. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Like what you're saying is right. Like, you bottle that stuff up, it's gonna get crazy when you finally do say something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm the same way. But I feel like I'll go nuts. I'm about to go nuts. Something be going on during the season or whatnot, and I can't be my authentic self unless I let you know that there is maybe this little friction or this issue here that we need to get through.
As I said before, you're not someone who sits on social media. I know that in being your teammate and spending time around you. You're not someone who watch talk shows. But like I said, I do know you're someone who's in a couple group chats, one specifically that you always talk about your boys.
Yes.
And your brother.
Absolutely.
And I know my homies, when some shit said, they sending it to me like, hey, what's up with bruh?
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
So I was in an interview, if I'm not mistaken, I was in an interview with Taylor Rooks, who's a great friend. She's incredible. I think Taylor Rooks, by the way, just shout out to Taylor, is the best in the business. She's incredible. What she does in interview, I watch, like again, I take this stuff very serious. Yeah. I watch film on her.
Yeah.
Like her follow-up questions are like Oprah. Like she crazy.
Taylor is really good, and she keeps it laid back and fun to where guys are comfortable too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I watch her. And if I'm not mistaken, in an interview with her, she was asking me about people that I don't like in the NBA. And I said, I hate Chris Paul. Easily 100% my least favorite person in the NBA. I wanna walk through these things because, again, we keep I mean every word I've said.
Yeah.
But man, there's a journey to get through there, to get to that. And you get something sent to your phone, I'm saying something like that. Number one, talk to me. Like how you what were you thinking of what was being said, goddammit, in that group chat when that came out?
So first and foremost, just like anybody, just like Trav, anybody, all of my homies gonna know who I on rock with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know which time that was, first and foremost, because you just said it a few times if we're going to keep it funky. So for me, I'm going to tell you, and it's crazy because, I mean, I could name a few guys who didn't have that with me in my career. You know what I'm saying? And everybody who know me know, like, and you know this, Dray, I always say this. When anybody say something, I say, I be everywhere.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I say, I be everywhere. And I say, when these people see me, they don't be on that type time. And I know it's a respect thing and all this. And then, hell, we showed up at Braun House for the card game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, all this different type stuff. So when that come across, like, a group chat or one of the homies or something like that, you know, niggas be like, man, how are you even on this rank? I'll be like, man, I don't know. Real talk. And so it's crazy. Of course, all my homies, they, you know, say this and say that. But me, I don't know. I think it's that we differ, like people differ. And I always said, like, if somebody asked me that, I may say something else around it or whatnot, but it wasn't never that deep for me. I knew how I felt, you know what I'm saying? But if somebody asked me, I wasn't going to say this and say that, but it was... For me, like I said, I'm president of the union for 8 years.
Yeah,
it's been a few guys in this league who would go out here and say something about me, and then what I always say, I'm everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
I'm at the meetings. I done had guys who would talk crazy about me on a podcast or a show, and then they come up to me before a game and be like, hey, yo, C, what we gonna do as far as the union stuff is we gonna play, and I'll be looking like, didn't you just say? You know what I mean? But I think, me and you done talked a lot about all this stuff. It was like when I got traded, you know what I'm saying? When I got traded, first thing, you know, I did is I hit you. You know what I'm saying? Knowing all the different dynamics or whatever it was, sent you a text. I was like, yo, excited to be your teammate.
Yep.
And we talked it out, right? And
Absolutely.
I feel like I've always been able to stand on that, regardless what anybody say, this, that, and the third, is that at the end of the day, if you know who you are, then you get past it.
Interesting enough, man. You know, obviously Book's a teammate of yours. Book, your man, you're still great relationship. I've known Book since he was in high school, like maybe 15, 16 years old or something like that. And so I've always had a great relationship with Book. I love Book. Like, that's my dog. We play in the Olympics in 2021. And I'm like, Book, I hate him. Like, Book, and Book a real one. I love Book, man. He a real one. Book said, I feel you, Dray. I don't know if he really feel that strong about it, Dre. He don't talk about it like that.
Right.
I said, I know he probably don't talk about it, but I fucking hate CP, man. And he like, yeah, Dre, he don't be on it like that. Like, he definitely don't fuck with you, but he don't be on it like that. Dre, like, come on, Dre. I'm like, nah, Book, you don't understand. And again, that goes back to, I gotta say it, but also immaturity. You know, even in like, when I look back and I speak and, you know, I think about things that I've done, like, there are some things that break the internet that I wish I could take back like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people really value themselves on, can I move people this way? Can I get people to say this? What they gonna think? And there's actually things that I've said throughout my course of these years that broke the internet, that people love, that people are like, oh yeah, and I wish I could take it back right away. And I think for me, it's also like the immaturity. You're 6 years older than me, you know, like been through a lot more than me, been doing this a lot longer than me. And then obviously there's the difference in personalities as well, but a lot of immaturity involved in my part.
I was on that type time too, though. Like, it's crazy, and I don't even really be thinking about it. I don't even be realizing that I'm 6 years older than you, because when I'm in it, right? Mm-hmm. And so Book, that's like my brother for real, you know what I'm saying? And so me and Book spent a lot of time together, still do, and you know, it's crazy. Book would tell me about guys that he was around, you know what I'm saying, that was saying little stuff. And I'd be like, dang, that person don't act like that when they're around me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's always been interesting for me. But I'll tell you this, I remember it was a game we was playing in LA. You wasn't playing. Yeah. You was behind the bench. Yeah. You was behind the bench. I don't know what year it was, but something happened or whatever during the game. You stood up, said something, I said something, and that's the type time it was. Yep. That was the lead. It wasn't like social media like that. People wasn't putting it all over the internet or whatnot, but it was a competition thing, man. And for me, that stuff can escalate. And I always say this, I'm on whatever they on. You know what I'm saying? That's just always the energy I done had since I came into the league, man. And like you say, immaturity, I had it. I still got it at times too. I ain't no saint by no means, but it's a process, and you start appreciating different players in this league. You appreciate even being able to play at a high level and all that. But I told you, out of all the guys that, I told Steve this, I feel like I told the team that out of all the guys that I didn't really had like beefs with over my career, you know, that I could care less if I talked to him or whatever. I said, I'm glad I got an opportunity to be teammates with you. Straight up, man. And I mean that when I say it, because, you know, you get a chance to see for real, you know, why y'all was winning championships, you know, the competitiveness, all that, man. So, and I mean that, you know what I mean? I'm glad we get a chance to be on the same team.
100%, man. Like I said, as you know, I feel the same way. And I think, man, it's funny. It's funny. See, I have a friend in London. We were, I mean, he lives in London. We were in Paris this summer, and we had a great wine dinner, and I was sitting next to him. His name's Virgil. And Virgil asked me, see, I kid you not, this is, God works in a mysterious way. Virgil asked me, sitting at the wine dinner, who's your least favorite player in the NBA? Who could you not see yourself playing? I said, there's zero fucking chance I'm ever playing with Chris Paul. It's crazy. Not happening. It cannot happen, Virgil. He's like, I knew you'd say that. He's a fan of the NBA. He's like, I knew you'd say that. Literally, see, from that dinner, 2 days later, I'm flying back from Paris. I get a call from Mike Dunleavy, and I'm taking off. And I'm like, Mike, I'm gonna hit you when I land. I'm flying. He like, all right, hit me when you land. I'm like, but I'm flying back from Paris. It's 10 hours.
It's gonna be a long flight.
He's like, all right, well, it's a little urgent. Kind of need to know. It's like, we got a chance to, you know, bring in Chris Paul. And I was like, listen, Chris Paul is a competitor. Chris Paul is an adult. Chris Paul want to win. Chris Paul played the basketball the right way. We can figure it out. I said, we can figure it out. All the other stuff, we ain't been the best of friends, Mike.
Right.
I said, but we can figure it out. And for me, man, it's like you go through these seasons in your life, as you know, and it's like God placed you here at the right time.
Yep.
Because I'm not sure if in year 9, in year 8, if I was even mature enough to handle it, right? Like, if I was mature enough to even have the conversation with you, like, when you text me, I hit you back, and we were supposed to talk, and you call, and I'm like, I couldn't even talk to you, right? Like, I was like, damn, CP gonna be our teammate, and like, they're making this move, cool. But then I'm like, fuck, like, what do I say? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. Like, what do I do? And then we went to lunch, and I said to you, I said, man, I appreciate you letting me go through my process, because I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to make of it. I did know, like, yo, if he my teammate, we gonna make it work, and we gonna fuck some people up, Mike, I tell you that. But like, there was a process that I had to go through, and you look at like going through these seasons of life and what you can handle. It's like, I don't know if you'll ever even meet Virgil, maybe you will, but for me to be sitting there randomly having a conversation with Virgil at a wine dinner, and the next day, you my teammate?
That is crazy, man. And even think about that lunch that we had. And you know my wife Jada, and it's funny, man. Like, I remember, because we went to the Bel Air Hotel, and she was almost giving me a pep talk before I left the house. She was like, all right now, be cool, be good. You good? You good? She was doing all that. And it's so crazy, man, to know so many mutual people. You know what I mean? I think about Shayla and all these people who like, man, y'all need to talk. Y'all need to talk. And we went to lunch there. We ended up being there for hours. You know what I mean? Hours, man. And I tell you, and that's where, like, just maturity, adults or whatnot, being able to sit and talk and to actually listen to each other, you know what I mean? And know that you both in a place where you like, dang, you know, even though we ain't got along for a long time, like, at this point in my career, I need him, you know what I mean? Not just basketball wise. It's been really cool, like, just the locker room, you know, and like we talk about year 12, 13, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
this ain't gonna work, but everything happens for a reason.
100%, man. Like you said, Shayla, there were multiple people telling me, like, y'all should talk. Y'all will figure it out, I think.
Absolutely.
Shayla was definitely one of the main ones. So thank you, Shayla. We appreciate you. Switching gears, you mentioned Players Association president. Talk to me about that, because number one, I feel like you took that thing with the Players Association president, and I feel like you actually made that a thing. Like, you know, I've been in the league. I think D. Fish was the president when I first came in the league. And like, it was cool, but it wasn't, and maybe I could have just been young and didn't understand it, but it just wasn't like revered. Like, the job wasn't revered. It wasn't like a real thing.
It was a
like,
chore.
It
was a chore.
And it's like you took that thing and made it like a position, like it actually matters. Talk to me about just being the Players Association president and how you went about that.
First and foremost, I wouldn't say me, I'd say us, like that executive committee and all of us. But man, I joined the EC my third year in the league when Billy Hunter was the executive director. And I'll never forget, Billy, it came to me and he was like, hey, Chris, we need you to be on the executive committee. And I'm year 3. That's the year I thought I was going to win MVP, and I'm hooping and all this. I'm like, man, I'm trying to set up my own business. Ain't nobody got time for this. And that's back when they used to come in there and they come to the union meeting and they be like, who going to be the team rep? And what the vets used to say.
The young
fellas, you got to do it. You got to do it. Because it was like a chore. And so now you see guys stepping up and they want to be a part of it. I'm so grateful for that. And I think I took a lot of pride in it, because there was some tough years. We went through a process where we didn't have an executive director and had to go through the interview process. I remember playing in Miami, had a game that night, had to get up at 5 a.m. to do some interviews. And we ultimately got Michelle Roberts in. You know, we built the Players Association office now, the court, you know, and just to see players now, hell, this, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
All the stuff that players do now, And we still got a ways to go to continue to get guys to do things together and realize the power that we have as players, as the collective.
Yes.
Right? Because when we first came into the league, and rest in peace to David, Stern, it was y'all do this, do that, do that. You know, it wasn't a partnership.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
As much as guys would have liked. But now the conversations that we have with Adam and all this stuff is totally different. Because the way you get people to buy into something is you got to make them feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
So when you think of the in-season tournament, when you think of the play-in tournament and all this stuff, like that's where our league differs from all these other leagues. And that was probably the craziest part in being the president of the union for those years is I was getting calls from the players from the NFL, from Major League Baseball, from soccer, from all this, saying, yo, how y'all do that? Like what? Like we don't talk to, our commissioners and stuff. We don't. And so it's dope to see, how our league is basically leading the way.
And stepping down from that role, you still get a lot of calls. I spend a lot of time. You're still on a lot of calls about the Players Association. You get calls from people like, yo, I'm not the president anymore. Like, CJ's the president. What has it been like in you stepping down from that role? But again, I think that is also a testament to the work you did and what you made the position mean.
Yeah.
That you're still getting those calls as if you're the directors. I mean, as if you're the president still.
You know what it is even before CJ got nominated, I would talk to CJ a lot about things, but we got a little group of guys with Kyle Lowry, Dwight Powell, CJ, and us. We've been doing calls now every couple weeks since the pandemic. And it's very, very important because we're very open with Adam and the other people on the call about the things that's going on in the league. And what's dope about it is that it's not just all my views.
Yes.
It's CJ's view. Kyle, we talked to our teammates to figure out, like, when we was in Phoenix and you were saying how you might change the in-season tournament games a little bit. I love getting that feedback. That's the funnest part about it. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I was the president, it's a little different because I'm getting out of practice and I'm getting calls from the office about what's going on in New York. And I'm like, man, I got a game tonight. I can't. Now, I mean, I get an opportunity to basically put myself in the places that I feel like I can be most effective.
Yeah.
Right. And try to get that time with my family because it's a full-time job. It is a full-time job. And definitely didn't take it lightly. And it was an honor and a privilege to do it. And I'm going to tell you, man, Dray, is a lot of guys probably would never say it, but it was a lot of hate and stuff that came from that. What? Boy, you should have seen the way people was hitting my phone when we was trying to figure out if we was going to do the bubble or not.
Yes.
You had a gang of guys saying, no, we shouldn't be going. Then you had guys saying, yeah, we should be going. And so, yeah, we got a lot of stories, a lot of stories. But that union stuff was a great time.
And speaking of the union, I have something that bothers me. Or I wouldn't necessarily say that bothers me. Because bothered me would be like, it moves me. But it's something that I look at and I'm just like, And the director, the executive director of the Players Association unit, direct counterpart or direct person that they're working with, because I think that's one of the things that you changed is where if it was like you had the NBA Players Union and then you had the NBA, they were synonymous in any way.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that you changed in where the executive director now works with Adam. And they work to put, like, yes, Adam runs the league. He's the commissioner. We all know that. But they work together to make these things work. And there's a respect, on the work level amongst them that allows us to continue to build this league and push it forward.
Right.
I don't know Adam's salary. The executive director's salary is nowhere near that. Will the players ever get to a space of where we raise the amount of money that the executive director makes? Because due to the salary, it's always going to lessen the pool of people that you can get in that space. if the salary is what it is. Do you think the players can ever see that to understand that this is, and you did it, right? But again, you're also handcuffed by players too. Like ultimately you run these things and you put these things in space and then guys vote on it. Do you think the players will ever understand that this is a business and the person in charge of this business is in charge of 50% of $10 billion per year, a BRI, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the exact number is today.
Right.
But just call it 50%. That person is in charge of 50% of $10 billion. Do you think us as players, or, you'll retire someday and I'll retire shortly after, but do you think the players will ever reach a space where they say that position and needs to be viewed different, the salary needs to be raised? Because also based on that salary is how that person is going to be viewed going into the negotiation table.
Yeah, and this is what I would say to that, because you definitely have a point there, but I would say, and I would challenge you and anybody else to come into some of those meetings and have that discussion. And this is why, because there's so much that goes into the salaries of everybody. And even, I remember the meeting when and I'm sure you know this, we're the only professional sports league that has insurance for retired players.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember that
amazing.
meeting and how sort of hard it was or whatnot to have all the guys actually understand what's going on, because in order to do that, that means that money is coming from the players.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So once guys really start to understand that and understand like where the money's coming from, where it's going, how it's being, sort of filtered out as far as the union and all this stuff, I think, it's definitely a conversation that can be had, But I think the other thing that a lot of people would be surprised is to see the pool of names who are in these interviews.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Obviously, there's a confidentiality aspect to it, but I can say this. It blew my mind to see the names that were trying to be the executive director. You know what I mean? Given the salary that it is now. And it's because, and this is a credit to our league and the players, is that you got 450 of the most recognizable faces in the world.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's people who are CEOs of big companies and all that stuff like that who are still putting their name in that hat to try and have this job and this role. So, I think as everything continues to grow, and I think the union, like we still are like in a phase where we still building.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? Like think 450 isn't that many years old, but that's where the business, like we didn't talk about it before, what the licensing check used to be.
Yes.
And what the licensing check is now.
Totally different.
You know what I mean? So I think it's going to continue to take some time, but continue to build, like this basically all-star team of people, because you have a time when it's CBA stuff where you may need a lawyer.
Yeah.
But during all the other time, you need a business person to make sure that, all the T's are being crossed and all the I's are being dotted.
Yeah.
But it's important. And like I said, you need to get your ass in there and tell everybody what you're thinking. Like for real, because that's probably been the coolest part of me being a part of the union, is seeing how many smart guys we got and all the great ideas.
Yeah. I think for me also, again, goes back to immaturity. I know you remember there was a time where I was trying to be on the executive board.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I know I'm suited for this. I know I'll fight like for players. But another thing, and I'll tell you, Melo, who also had your brother, my brother, who also had the opportunity to play in the Olympics with. Man, I came to the meeting in Toronto, and I'm like, I'm going to get on the executive committee. And it was me and Melo who was the last two people. And Melo and I'm like, Melo don't even want to fucking be on this board. I know Melo. Melo don't want nothing to do with this. Hey. Y'all voting for Melo because he's called Melo Anthony. And I'm like, I'm done with this. And the reality is, I was in my feelings.
I didn't even realize that happened, but I get it, because that's what a lot of people do not realize, is that this is the NBA, but it is still like a high school election.
Absolutely.
And it's face-to-face.
Yes.
So you find out on that day in front of your peers that you weren't voted in or something like that. So I definitely get it. I know a couple other players who that sort of happened to, and it's crazy, man, because like I said, I can still remember the day that I ran for president. Like, somebody nominates you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody nominates you.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even sure about running for president. And I know Roger Mason had ran too, and I don't know who else did. But yeah, that's enough. Like, I get what you're saying, but even, and it's hard to say because you are who you are or whatnot, but even if you're not on the EC, on the executive committee, because it take a lot of time.
Yeah.
It take a lot of time, man. But I think there's a way to find out if every so often you just jump on the call to get your ideas.
Yes.
And see, that's what I did when I was president, man, is that what helped was that I could get Bron on the line if need be.
Yeah.
I could get to Book. I could get to Steph. I could get to any of these guys or whatnot. And it was a lot of guys who at the time would be like, "Damn, why C ain't hit me? When you say you don't fool with me?" So hit one of the other guys on the EC, you know, but I would try to make sure that I got feedback from other guys around the league about how they would feel.
Yeah, no, and I know from being in those meetings and seeing you talk to different people, I know you was taking that feedback. And I thought that was great. And like you said, and just pushing this to where it is. With Andre taking over, I know Andre has his plans with his fund and all of those things that he's been working on, putting together. Whole time he's been playing here, and now he's on the other side of the fence as a player. But Andre just recently took over the Players Association as the executive director interim. Do you see a world where he may continue and say, this, because he was on the committee with you and all of those things?
You know, it's funny, man. I don't know. I don't think Dray wants to. You know what I mean? But that was kind of news to me or whatnot. But Dray, man, I talk about him all the time because think about all them years. We talk about how we was competing.
Yeah.
He was on the Warriors too. And when I was in Houston, when I was in LA, and so I couldn't stand Dray as far as hooping. But Dray was my vice president along with James Jones at one point. And it's still crazy to think about how well me and Dray worked together through all of that stuff, given the dynamics between our teams. But I don't know. I hit Dray after he took over and told him, like, man, I'm here if I can help with anything. If there's anybody who can dive in there and sort of know the ins and outs of what the union needs, and I know he's gonna have the union, you know what I mean, at best, you know, always. It's just crazy to see that, you know, because we always talk about we can't even see retirement right now. And so it's just crazy to think about all we did as far as the union, and to know that he actually like be in the office and all that, having to see what's going on now. So I'm wishing him the best with that. And I don't know.
Well, you say you don't think Dray want to do it that long. Well, then I say let's get a satellite campus in LA. Guys be struggling to get a gym in LA, so we get a satellite NBA players office in LA. You know,
Dray, listen.
In 3-4 years, when you like, you know what, I'm done. I'm tying the strings up. I'm throwing them on a wire. Could we see Chris Paul as the executive director?
You absolutely cannot. You absolutely cannot. But I will always be a phone call away, just because, man, I learned so much there. And I'm going to tell you what's so crazy is we talked about an office and a gym in LA at one point, man. But Dray, we're going to have to talk about these expenses.
Yeah, buddy.
We got to talk about these expenses. They're going to have to raise the dues.
Yeah.
They're going to have to raise the dues, because all this stuff is good and well, but these are ideas that I think are valid. But like I said, the players, we're going to have to talk, because we never raise the dues or whatnot. But if guys really want to see this, stuff can happen.
Yeah.
But
gotta
it's going to cost. It's going to cost.
I think dues needs to be raised anyway. The reality is dues may have been raised $5,000 since I've been in the league 12 years. Inflation alone. Come on, man. We can look at inflation and we can talk about that. Now, granted,
Dray will be at the next meeting.
I'll say this, and here's one of the reasons I actually thought I would have been good for the committee when I was trying to do it was that I've worked myself into a position where I became, a high-paid guy in this league and the all-star and all those things. But I started as nothing. I started as second round on the end of the bench, like getting in for a defensive stop to end the game. That's it, And so I was making $850,000. Now, don't get me wrong, people. I'm not out of touch with life. $850,000 is a lot. But when you're making $850,000 living out here in the Bay, you slice that in half, that's $400,000. You got an agent fee, 3%. You got my rent was 4 or 5 times the amount as rookies in other markets. So I'm paying that, and I'm making that money. I ain't making much money. And so my thing was, I know how it feels to be at the bottom, and I know how it feels to be so I know how those guys feel. And that's why I thought I would have been good for the committee. In saying that, so when I say we should raise these dudes, know that I'm not some out-of-touch guy that's looking at these rookies who and like, yo, they should pay more too. Like, no, number one, you get what you pay for in life.
Exactly.
So,
and if you know the ins and outs of the union and all the things that the union provides and the things during the summer, the trips, all of this different type stuff, like I think we have a very, very, very good union.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So those conversations do come up at times.
Chris's need to be paid. Chris's chins need to be paid more. The Ron Klimpners need to be paid more. But I tell you what, and I'm saying this on this podcast, the dues definitely need to be raised. You've had inflation take place. We're still doing all the same things. And guess what? Another thing is we all know more now. See, we know more about life now. And these are the things that we want the union to provide. But yet we still paying those
Dray,
same
listen,
dues.
man, if we wasn't beefing when I was president, I would have walked you right into one of them damn meetings with me. Because, man, and it takes, your vets and all that. And I think we as players do a good job now. But when I came into the league, I didn't know what the union was. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny, when they come talk to us, and it's usually people that represent the NBA and people that represent the union, right? Like when I first came into the league, you damn near shunned away from the union people and just went to the NBA people.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
Fact.
And you had to learn and be taught that the union is the ones that work for you. And not saying the NBA is against you, but when you get a tech or you get suspended or something like that, you do a call with the NBA, the union is on the phone for you.
Absolutely.
And so I think the earlier guys are starting to realize that earlier now, is that the union is in place to help and make sure that they, are able to go back to school. You know what I mean? The union to pay your tuition or whatnot, to go back to school or whatnot, man. And I know people will say I'm biased, but I'm so grateful to the people at the union, the Latoyas, the Chris's, the Rons, everybody. I don't want to leave nobody out. All of y'all, man, I'm so grateful for how you taught me. Like I tell people all the time, I had a business class on steroids, right? I had a business class on steroids because, I know what a 20-year lease for where the union office is, in that part of New York. I know how expensive that is. I know what the salaries are like. I know what the employees are like at the union office when they want to raise, and so they taught me a lot and they still teaching me, and I'm grateful for it.
That's incredible. I had a couple more questions. I as you know, we'll sit and talk all day.
Man, we good. We in our building.
But I want to ask you something, and I can raise my hand. I've never been one, as I've told you, I've never been one to say I was wrong or hide anything that I intended to do. So I come into the league, Warriors were the laughing stock of the NBA, and I walk in the locker room and I meet Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and I'm working out with these dudes, and I'm like, yo, these dudes are special, man. I've never seen nobody shoot the ball like this.
You came in the year after Klay's rookie year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right after the lockout.
So 12.
Year.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm like, these two dudes are special. Let me figure out what I can do to help these two. And that was my goal from the beginning. As you come in, you start to see the lay of the land. You start to realize there's prior relationships. There's this, there's that. This guy know him. This guy know that. And so I learned through the grapevine that CP and Steph are close. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's cool. Nice. Yep, they saying these dudes is the next young dudes out the West. I got to figure out how to change this relationship if I can, because what I learned is, you know, y'all both growing up in North Carolina, families knew each other, y'all knew each other, had a really good relationship. Me being the young, call me dumb if you want, I would say I was young and dumb. You come into the league, you don't know what you think you know. And so you come in young, dumb, and I'm like, oh, CP is going to definitely use knowing him and being the big homie against him. Let me see how I can get in between this and cause some arguments and break this shit up. In a weird way. Kind of not really. But I said all of that to say, what's it been like for you to watch Steph? Like, you get drafted, you take him under your wing, y'all working out together, all of those things. He come into the league, ankle injuries, the whole nine. Again, me knowing you now, I'm sure you was texting him, hey man, like, stick through it, like, because I just know who you are. He young, he coming into the league. I know you were offering that. Stick through it. Gets healthy, starts to come up, obviously become who he's become. Y'all have battles and all that. Talk to me about the relationship, like the steps and along the way with you and Steph.
It's crazy, man, because I done known Steph for a long time, right, coming through North Carolina. And Seth, like, don't even leave that out, Seth. And then Dale, you know what I mean? So my agent when I first came into the league was Jeff Austin.
Okay. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Nope, I did not know that.
So Jeff Austin was my agent when I came into the league. Jeff Austin and Lance Young. I was with Octagon. Then Rudy Gay was too. And then obviously Steph. So I ended up leaving after my 5th, 6th year in the league when I went to CAA. But I kept my financial advisor, a guy named Frank Zecca. Shout out to Frank. Frank is me and Steph's financial guy or whatnot. But when Steph got drafted, I used to have my camp. I used to have my elite camp or whatnot. And so the very first year I had my elite camp, Steph came to camp. He was nice. Eric Bledsoe, nice as hell. And so my family went to Disney World in Orlando. My wife, like little Chris, my parents, everybody. And Steph went with us. Steph went to Disney World with us and we worked out and all that. So our relationship was always cool. And I mean, just like, I mean, you know, I got 13 of my kids that play in the league. And I'm saying Steph as a kid, but you was from North Carolina, you just tried to look out, help whoever it was. And so it was crazy to see. I mean, I forget about the ankle injuries because I just remember how damn good he been. You know what I mean? And it's crazy the battles start happening, our teams or whatnot. But it was the Warriors. It wasn't never like about me versus Steph or nothing like that. Because Willie, right?
Yep.
Remember when Willie became one of y'all coaches?
Absolutely.
Willie is my family. When Willie became one of y'all coaches, me and Willie stopped talking. You know what I mean? Like for real. So, I mean,
Willie Green.
Yeah, Willie Green.
Those
Willie
of y'all
Green.
that don't know.
But Steph just kept getting better and better. And I mean, like, it wasn't like it was a surprise to me. You know what I mean? Because he always worked like that and he could shoot it. And then the way that you guys team, like y'all played with an edge, we did the same.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, you wanted to build this riff or whatever. It is what it is. The game was the game. Obviously, people blew things up. I mean, when Steph, when did he hurt his hand?
He hurt his hand in 2021, 2020-21 season.
Yeah, that's when I was in... no,
I'm sorry, I'm lying.
No, that's right.
He hurt his 1920. Trust me, I suffered through that year. We were miserable. I was miserable.
That's when I was in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Because I remember I was at my condo and as soon as I saw he hurt his hand, I sent him a message to put him with my hand surgery. I had 4 hand surgeries.
Really?
Yeah. So I hit Steph to try to make sure he got with Dr. Shin and tried to get with Mo, the same person. I'd had 4 hand surgeries.
I met Mo. I feel like he used Mo, right?
Yeah.
He ended up using Mo.
Yep. He ended up using Mo. So Mo did all 4 of my hand surgeries and my rehabs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's just trust me, we done battled like hell. Like, I mean, you know, like my wife was at his wedding, they was at my wedding or whatnot. But to see him become the player that he is dope, man. Obviously, I've been on the wrong side of some of them losses, and I'm mad as hell. I was mad, I mean, big mad, you know what I mean? But now getting a chance to be teammates and play alongside each other has really been fun.
It's been incredible. As we wind down, and again, you've made it very clear, like you stay out the way of things, you stay out the way of people, you don't put things in the media. I didn't realize as an investor, as a businessman, that you had all the things going that you have going. You do it very under the radar, quietly, but you got a lot of stuff going on, incredible things.
Try to.
What does retirement for Chris Paul look like whenever, and I think you can continue to play number one, just as smart as you are, like to go from as fast and athletic as you were to not even rely on speed and still be as dominant as you've been for the last 8 years. Like, I'd say the last 7 years of your career, you have not relied on speed. And to do that and still be the player you've been, I think is amazing. But what does retirement for Chris Paul look like? Whenever that is.
I definitely want to own a team, be on an ownership group. And it's because of, it's a few reasons, but one of them is like my love for the game, right? And Dre, you like me, we try to get back to LA and see our family as much as possible. I done missed so much of my kids' lives that everybody be like, oh, you're gonna be a coach, you're gonna be on a coach. But I coach AAU. I do that now. I coach AAU. But I actually want to be present for some of the stuff that my kids have going on. So I definitely want to be on ownership. And the reason why I want to be on ownership is because I feel like you have an opportunity to impact in a lot of different ways, right? And for playing for so long and on so many teams, I've had a front class seat in the CBA negotiations to see what this team does right, what this team does right. Been in the locker room for this long, so you see how a lot of the most successful teams are sort of like, there's a bond, you know what I mean, that's necessary. So I definitely want to be on ownership. And then I want to continue to dive into different investments, you know what I mean? And I know that just sounds vague, but I mean, I got a production company. I have a cricket team over in India. I have a a baseball team, AAA team in my hometown, the Winston-Salem Dash. It's a lot of different things that I've been trying to get invested in, but I just can't sit still. That's one thing I ain't gonna do. That's one thing I'm not gonna do. I want to be involved and I want to be around the game. I want to continue to try to impact grassroots because the NBA level, as far as coaching, you can't tell us nothing.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, we feel like we know everything. But for me now, and like we talked about, like Grant Williams played in my AAU program, Josh Okogie, Kobe White, Harry Giles, Colin Sexton. I could keep going on and on. Wendell Moore, Wendell Carter, all these guys, man, that's probably the dopest thing for me at this point in my career is to see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is to see them and to know that in somehow, some way, I may have impacted their journey to be able to change their life. Because, you know, once you get up here, you change everybody's life around you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Fact. So, yeah, I definitely want to do that when I'm done.
You've talked about the last 7 or some odd years. Like once you start bouncing around a bit, switch teams, you left your family home and just would go to the city and do your job and go back home. Talk about how tough that is. That's been and making that adjustment, missing things. You know, like for forever, you and Lil Chris was inseparable. Like, I mean, he was everywhere with you. And then, you know, the team things start happening and you make the best decision for the kids. You know, sometimes a lot of times as adults and parents, people don't make the best decision for the kids.
Right.
And you make the best decision, selfless decision. Kids gaining friends, they're going to school, don't want to keep switching their friends group, and to leave them home and go off to work. Talk to me about the challenges that created.
Man, when I left LA to go to Houston, I'll never forget telling little Chris, he was looking at the TV, he saw it on SportsCenter and he was crying. And I told him, he said, "Dad, do I have to go?" And I said, "Chris, Dad can't be himself on the court if you're not there with him." Right? And so the thing happened in Houston. I got traded to OKC. Me and my wife, it's crazy, man, because Chauncey Billups, that's my big brother there. And Chauncey.
Love Chauncey.
Chauncey, when we played with the Clippers, Chauncey had told me that Piper and his kids weren't going to be in LA. And I never forget, me and my wife, we was like, "Oh, you tripping, Chauncey. Well, that ain't never going to be me." Me and my wife thought it was going to be 1 year. Then we was like, okay, just do it 2 years. Now this is year 5. But it's crazy because probably this season is the most I've been able to see them.
Yes.
And Steve does a great job of letting us know, when we're going to be off and stuff, man. But it's hard. It's hard, as you know, because the game is played for 3 hours.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The game is 3 hours. And as soon as that game is over, we are regular human beings.
Absolutely.
Right? Who
Absolutely.
just want to know our kids are good, our family is good, and all that. And so I think that's probably going to be a bigger part of my story when I'm done playing than I realized.
Yes.
Is what I've been able to do being away from them, because that's a huge part of my life, and we always say, fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So whenever I get a chance to see them, it definitely fills my cup, man. But it's crazy. You guys and the team have really helped with that. But I go back to that first year when I did it.
Yes.
Shea. You always hear me talk about Shea.
Yeah.
You always hear me talk about Shea, Darius Baisley,
Lou
Lou Dort.
Mm-hmm.
Them boys, them for life. I don't care what they got going on, anything, man. They know they can always call me because that was my first year being without my family, and they became that for me.
Okay, that's incredible, man. I did that 1 year where it was right after the season started back from the bubble. So the 2020-2021 season.
Oh, you did that?
My family stayed back in LA because you remember you couldn't go to the arena.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was shut down in San Francisco, so you couldn't do nothing here, and the weather was better in LA. So it's like, at least they can get outside. You couldn't get outside here. So they stayed in LA. And man, that's hard.
Boy.
That is tough. So I commend you.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
It is, and they getting older. You know what I mean? Like I always say, everybody got a story, and I know people got it way harder than I do, but that ain't my normal.
Yeah.
Right? I say all the time to all those people who pursuing their careers, whatever it may be, like, big shout out to you, because my dream was to make it to the NBA.
Yes.
Right? And I would not have made it without my dad. Without my parents, but for sure without my dad, like, fostering that for me. And it's just crazy for my kids, especially my son being older, to have these hoop and basketball dreams, but dad don't get to be there. It's kind of crazy, but, we gonna work it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing it gracefully. JSX.
Cool. Come through. JSX and that good Southwest too.
Talk to me about that, because I always tell people, they like, yo, you don't fly private. I'm like, nah, people ain't gonna run me out the airport. Like, you're not gonna run me out. Like, yes, I will fly private. Mm-hmm. But I fly a lot.
Yeah.
I can't afford to fly private as much as I fly.
Yeah.
You're not gonna run me out the airport. Got that right. Talk to me about that, because I be seeing some of these young guys, they fly private all the time. I'm like, how do they afford that?
To each his own. Listen, I wish I would have knew now I wish I would have knew then what I knew now. You know what I mean? And I've been flying private for a long time, probably a little bit too much, to tell you the truth. But you know, you start to realize. I mean, this morning I took a 6:40 a.m. Southwest flight, got me here just in time. You know, but there are certain situations that call for a private flight. You know, my daughter, she had a game that I wanted to make it to after practice or whatnot. But I don't care who you are, right? Like, you know, I know billionaires, that budget.
Yes.
That budget. So I like how you say that. You ain't gonna run me out there.
You're not running me out the
airport.
I'm sorry.
Hell nah. Well, just get me there.
Absolutely.
Get me there.
I'll be just fine.
Get me there.
No, for sure. Man, I thank you. This has been incredible. I know subscribers, listeners of the Draymond Green Show is going to appreciate this interview. I'm very thankful to have this conversation. Before we get out of here, one of my favorite officials, which is, I guess, odd for most people because most people...
Your favorite? Who you about to say?
Like, Scott Foster, you want to talk about him?
Knock it off.
You want to talk about him?
What?
I love Scott, by the way. You know why I love Scott? Because Scott, to me, like, where I go wrong is, like, the referees that act like they cool with you, and then the moment the game starts, you can't say hi. And I'm just like, bro, you just, like, was laughing with me and, like, saying hi. And
I never knew that was your man, though. I never knew that was your man.
Scott, because Scott, I know what I'm going to get. Like, I don't have to guess what I'm going to. I know what I'm getting.
Damn
with
right
Scott.
You knew what you was going to get every time you played against us. That sounds about right.
That ain't got nothing to do with you. But Scott.
Let's go look at the record.
I mean, you know, Scott, like, I can say a few things to Scott and he going to cut it off. It's not like I'm judging where the line at. Like, nope, this is the line, Draymond, and if you cross it, I'm teching you. But we can talk on this side of the line. We can talk, and he cool. I like Scott. You want to talk about Scott?
So he let you say a few things to him.
No, hell no, he don't. He don't. But I'm cool with that. Just as long as I know I can't say nothing to you. You run into some referees and they like, they start yelling at you, and then you say something back, and it's like, boom, and I'm like, bro, you just talked to me like that. Scott is different in that aspect. You want to talk about Scott?
I can't. Not right now. I can't right now. But in due time, we'll have that conversation. I can't right now. But it's funny you say that because it is a few refs who you could say something to and say something back. I feel like Sheed or somebody was talking about this recently or something about how you almost appreciate that.
Yes.
Like, you know, Carl, you yell at Carl, Carl gonna yell back at you.
Absolutely.
But you love to leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would respect that more than the refs who grab their whistle. Be like, I'm gonna call tech. You know what I mean? I'd much rather them. I done had a few officials here and there that yell back at you and stuff like that. And it's an intense game.
Yes.
That's what I would say. And you got a bunch of different personalities on the court or whatnot. And I think that's what gets lost at times is that it's a game and it's intense. You gotta realize it's an emotional game.
Yes, it is.
You know, guys. Now, okay, if it's too much, it's too much. Tell us. But at the same time, you know, I think probably one of my only issues is that text, like the money.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Like, how you just get to determine what my paycheck gonna be this week? Like, I always have a problem with that because it's like, yo, at the end of the day, that's a human being. Like, that human being have feelings. You can't tell me that, none of these officials don't like you personally because that's a human being. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I have feelings towards certain people that I work with, certain people. Like, you have feelings. And so that be the thing with me to act almost as if like they're not human.
Yeah, I've been on a competition committee now, right? For 15 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So people who don't know what that is, that's a 2.5 hour meeting every so often going over the rules of the game. You know, I've been doing that for a long time now. And I stayed on that because I get a chance to learn.
Yes.
You get a chance to learn, like, all these different, it's some great basketball minds that be on them calls, man. And I know some people probably like, damn, how you got time for that? You do the union stuff, you do this stuff. But you get to learn. And, you know, the competition committee is how the in-season tournament came about. It's how the play-in tournament came about. It's how the shot clock resets back to 14 now. It's all the different rules of the game, and you see that's why it's constantly changing. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but it was one meeting years ago where they talked about getting rid of the corner three.
Really?
Yeah. Like they was just talking, like all types of things are thrown out all the time on these committees because there's a vested interest in the business of the game and just trying to grow the game. So, yeah, man, that's why like when people see me like explaining something like that, it's like, man, I sit on this 2-hour call and y'all explain the rules of this, a take foul and all this stuff. So when I get to the game, I expect to see it a certain way. But you would like that, man. Like seriously, you would like that. It's a long call or whatnot, but you get a chance to get some stuff off your chest.
I think that'd be great. I think I'd be great for the competition. I mean, not sure if I'm welcome anymore, but I think I'd be great for the competition. Tony Brothers is enough. I love Tony Brothers. Tony, I fucking joke on Tony and his goddamn unibrow. My son got a unibrow, by the way. I talk about Tony unibrow, them thick. I mean, Tony got a unibrow, got them thick ass eyebrows, and I call Tony ugly. And he go right back at me. Tony embarrassed me in front of my teammates. I went and I talked shit to Tony. He walked past my teammates and he said, that's when I had the Subway commercial. He like, my sub is better than yours. Y'all want to talk about it? And like, it was incredible.
But that should be okay.
It's incredible.
That should be okay. I had a situation with a pitcher when I played in Phoenix, and he called a carry on me. Mm-hmm. And see, this is what's crazy about real life is because somebody gonna hear this and then they just gonna get you again. He called a carry on me and ran down there in front of my teammates and said, "Yeah, that's a carry or something." He said, "If I could dribble like that, I'd be in the league." Right? That's what the refs told my teammates. And so then I got back down there and I was like, "We can tell who ain't never played point guard before," right? And he gave me a tech. See, that's the crazy part about it. If you can pop your shit, I should be able to pop mine. You know, but you do have some of those really good officials like Tony and stuff like that. You should be able to go back and forth a little bit or something. But I think it's tough now because everybody got mics on.
Yeah, everybody got mics on. Everybody's zooming in on you talking to the official. Trust me, I know it too well.
It works for you sometimes though.
Yeah, it do. It got us positive. I say, hey, I did not fouled out of some games for that tech I took earlier in the game. Now, like, come on now. No, but I'm done with this shit. I'm done getting techs. I'm leave that to you see.
Having the mics on and all that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
For sure.
That works for you sometimes.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, man. That's a wrap from this episode of the Draymond Green Show. C, thank you, bro.
Always,
I appreciate
brother.
you, my
appreciate
dog.
It. Yes,
absolutely. Maybe we'll do this again one day because there's still a lot of stuff we ain't touched, but we could do this for hours.
We'll definitely do it again, as long as it ain't, See, it's easy to do it like this. It ain't after a game where you beat us or some shit like that. That's the worst. That's the worst.
We gonna win together. Oh, and by the way, for all you talking heads out there talking and y'all saying like, oh man, like that team is toast and this, that, and the other, we still gonna win a championship. I told you that before. We gonna win it again. Peace.